my students shoot, edit, produce, they do it all. In the more professional world of independent filmmaking, what is the role of the producer?
So, I mean, I always think the role of the producer is sort of, you know, you're laying the track, you're keeping everything on schedule, so you're often laying the tracks as the train's coming into the station for a documentary anyway, right? I think in fiction films, often the money needs to be fully in hand, you have to have all the partners, you have to have the actors before you can hit go. But in documentaries, often the idea is coming in at the same time as the money or before the money. And so how do you gather all these pieces and create enough of a creative space to allow the director to keep doing their best creative work? And sometimes those roles are super blurred between director and producer. Some directors like to cast their movies, find their subjects. Some directors don't want to talk to them unless they're in the field, and then as a producer I'll pick that up. So it depends what the relationship is. But I also I'm working with a director now on a film around the opioid crisis. It's her family, but she's an editor by trade, but she's also shoots, and so she's kind of directing, shooting, editing, and in that case, maybe the producer takes on a more creative role. I mean, I tend to have a creative role on the projects I'm on, but who has perspective if she's cutting, shooting, and editing? And so you're sometimes that other person who's in there also, you know, you're also in the toy chest throwing, what about this, because you're familiar with the material too. And then it's a business person, right? The person who's going to get, how are you going to distribute this? How are you going to raise the money? And if you raise the money this way, can you distribute it that way? What is a good deal if you're trying to do an outreach campaign? Like, how are you going to window everything? So, and I like being able to sometimes creep into the numbers and creep back to the creative. Like, for me, that fluidity helps my own process.
Oh.
So, but on Charm City, I kind of at some point was like, I don't even want to think about the numbers. I don't want to think about the distribution. I mean, it only lasts so long because then I'm like, what about the distribution? But you know, you do have to shut certain things off. You can't make decisions that are creative alone if you're also worried about the money. So breaking those two roles apart, I think, allows you to not always have this other voice in your head going, but should you? Right? Because you just should. You should if it's the right creative choice.